What's up guys, and welcome back to Pop Beat Breakdowns, the YouTube channel where I break down beats in all subgenres of pop music that I have made for my beat store. My name's Joe Gautry and I'm a music producer from the UK, and the whole purpose of starting this YouTube channel was to give you a different way to learn how to build your music productions and hopefully acquire some new tips and tricks that you can apply to your own productions. For today's video, we're going to be breaking down a synth indie pop type beat that I recently made for my beat store, talking you through how I built up the production. So if you are new to the channel, smash that subscribe button right now as it's the best way to support the channel, and let's not waste any more time and let's get into this video and break down this beat. Okay, so this is the production that we're breaking down today, and what's really easy is, and what I love to do for you guys on the channel, is I've broken it down into different sections so you can see how the tracks actually come together. So the different sections we can break it down into is the drums, bass, pads and synths, and then guitar, and then all of the effects, swoosh and transitions in between. So we're going to start today with the drums because this is where the beat actually started from. Now let's have a quick listen firstly to the finished beat so we know what it is that we're building up to. So when I was building up this production, one of the things I wanted to have in mind is I wanted this to sound really retro. I wanted to have that saturation. So there's a lot of things we've done to achieve that. But again, we're starting with the drums today because this is where I built the beat from, because I like to really reference back to 80s disco type drum beats, and you'll probably recognize it a lot. It's really coming back, this sort of drum beat that you're hearing a lot. So we're in Logic and we're using a Logic preset first. We've got the analog circuit, nothing done to the output. So this is the track stack that comes in the preset when you go onto the preset library and click on the analog circuit. The only different I've got from the analog circuit is I've changed one of the hi-hats out for the trap tight, I think it's called tight trap hi-hat, I think is the only thing, because I don't like the hi-hats for the analog circuit. And then we've also got another kick thrown in, another hi-hat thrown in here rather, from the drum synth. We have the Bluebird, which has some extra, I think it's cymbals in, another hi-hats as well. And then we've also used as well for the drums, you'll be very interested to see, I've actually used Drummer. I love using Drummer. So when you open your window to open a new track, Drummer, this section here, this is what I'm using. It's basically a drum machine, and I love using it for stuff like shakers and tambourines. It's a real good way to get a real feeling tambourine in without having to record it in yourself. So this is the drums all together. So one thing that was really cool about this drum beat I made, I wanted to have a lot of movement. That's why I've got a lot of layers to this, because I think the more complex drums are, the more it fulfills a production from a feeling point of view. So I started off obviously with the kick and the snare, and this is the very classic beat I was talking about. It always reminds me of Take On Me by Aha. For me, that's the most classic example of 80s drum beat and nostalgia as well at the same time. One thing that's really quick that I'll show you, which is very interesting and why it's important to always experiment, is when I was adding claps, I decided just to take the MIDI from when I recorded the drums in. So this would literally just be the hi-hat and the kick and snare, and just dragged it into the claps. Now, because this is in the clap track, this is going to be basically loads of samples and different pitches, but I wanted to see what this sounded like, and it actually came out as something that was quite cool, this cool little texture. And when you lay that in with everything else, it actually sounds like this really cool extra like texture element to it. And again, with all the drums together, I just thought it was really cool, so I kept in. And again, this emphasized on why you need to experiment, try things. That was a complete accident that ended up happening. I didn't have in my head to do that, but I did. And another thing that's really cool as well for the toms, I love the toms in the analog circuits. They just sound great. I mean, listen to this. For MIDI drums, it just sounds so cool, especially for this kind of music. So yeah, analog circuits is one of my favorite presets for Logic. Highly recommend you try that sometime. Now we're moving on to what really got the vibe going for this song, and I actually used Analog Lab for this. I have an Arturia keyboard, and this software comes with it for free. So this is by Arturia, the Keylab Essential. Comes with it free if you buy this keyboard. Analog Lab, it has loads of interesting textures in it, which I like to try every so often. And today I found this, which is the lo-fi piano, it's called. Came up with this little melody riff. Very simple. And I just love the ambience of it. So I added a chorus to it to make it sound more almost, you know, that retro sound. And I also added the ROM reverb by Native Instruments just to give it that nice, you know, 4.8 second reverb. So really getting spacious to try and add that atmosphere. And just from these two elements we've added already, we have a sound. And I think that's always, if you're struggling to build productions, that's always what you've got to try and focus for. Try and find one or two elements that work well together and really then take in what that vibe's given you, them first two initial ideas that you put in, and then bounce off that to start building up your track. So that's what we did. We built around the chorus. So we're now going to be playing from the chorus for the rest of this breakdown that I'm doing, because this is how I build up my productions. I always build around the chorus. I find it's the best and most effective way to build up a drum beat. So now we're moving on to the bass. I wanted to add the bass in yet, get some low end in there. So I went to one of my favorite bass plugins in Logic, the 70s Classic Synth Bass, I think it's called, and it's in Alchemy. Yeah, right there, 70s Classic Synth Bass. I love this. It's a pad technically, but it's also a bass. It's got this real nice low end rumble to it, and it always just suits so well, especially for Synthwave. And it reminds me of The Weeknd. Got a nice low end rumble to it. And that's just playing the root notes, which is basically I'm making decisions at this point on the chords for the song, because before this was very like simple, what I was playing in. And then I love to, especially for the more 80s influence, I love to go into the retro synth, which again is a Logic preset. Love this one here, and the classic analog bass. I like this to do a running bass line. It really complements the 70s synth bass really well. So these two in combo is one of my favorite combos when it comes to Logic presets. So this is the classic analog bass, and then this is them paired together. Notice the subtle things as well, as I don't have them following the same melody. So this technically it's going down there, but this has more of an going up feel to it. It's really good to sort of not have everything exactly the same, create a little bit of movement. It makes production sound a lot more interesting, but these two together is a golden combination. So when you put this together, we've already got ourselves a pretty solid sounding production. So now at this point, it's time to start building the atmosphere. It's time to start adding pads. Now for the pads today, I'll quickly play the pads that we've got all together. And there's a nice little texture, nice varying in the textures in here to get the basically the synths that we all wanted in. I'm a big fan of just having little riffs, motifs and melodies just scattered in productions, because again it creates movement, it makes production sound so much more interesting, and you can also take them out and put them back in. So if you want to do what I do a lot, which is actually make 4-chord songs, by spreading out these little melodies into different points of the productions, you're creating development without adding extra chord progressions or transitions. So that's just something to consider as well when you're making your productions. So we start today with a dark background. This is a retro synth preset. I love this. It's in the pad section. You can find it there. This is one of my go-to. I love the retro synth by Logic. I swear by it. I almost want to do a whole video just on that, because it's just that good, in my opinion, the sounds you get. And anyway, this is the pad. And I layered that with the, I think this is another retro synth one, the classic sawtooth pad. It's very happy. Almost doing something very similar to the initial synth idea we got here. I do like to do that. It kind of almost builds on that sound that we got, so almost like improving already existing ideas in the production. And lastly was one of my little favorite things, again, as I said, with the little extra melodies that we add in, just arpeggios. Got this little synth pop strings, which is the retro synth again. To make this really string out, we do have a nice big reverb on here of 8.7 seconds. I love the ROM reverb by Native Instruments, by the way. It's probably my favorite reverb used on everything. And we've got a tape delay with a 58% feedback. Just a little bit of wear, and it's very high. Just to have a little bit of an airy scatter happening at the end really helps add some sort of like a nice effect to this. So altogether we have that. And that's my pads. Now we get on to the cool part, which is the guitars. We are, disclaimer, using MIDI guitars. I have Native Instruments, which I like to use a lot. So for the guitars, firstly we have Contact, and we have the, I think this is the session, yes, this is the Electric Vintage that we're using. and it's playing octaves, so it's got a little bit of distortion to it, but I love this. This is the melody version. So this is what I created. Again, this will sound very similar. It's just slight variations, just to make it a bit interesting and not too repetitive. So yeah, that's the melody version, so that's me actually playing it in. There's also another version here which I'm playing you, so this is basically rhythm accumulated where they have samples put in, and so I'm basically just looping a sample with these ones. Pre-existing sample. So we put these two together. Sounds really cool. Nice. And then the last one is we have another melody. This one here, this is probably the favorite addition out of the guitars. We've just got a lot of reverb on this because this is helping create the atmosphere. And this is like more of a picked guitar. Lots of reverb. It's just nice. I always think there's certain points of your production which really fit and create the vibe of the song. This is one of them textures in here. Oh, you can almost imagine, like, I always take back to some songs are really good at Lanny. Lots of their songs, they always have one element which really sets the tone for the song, and I wanted the guitars to be that. So this is really warm, low end, saturated, and just overall really good vibe. So this is all the guitars together. So the guitars and the pads, I always mix them together because I think that's the best way to get the blend, and they sound great. So then the last thing that we just need to quickly focus on is transitions. I always use Splice normally for my white noise and crashes because I have go-tos which work really well. We have a couple of different things going on here. We do have the crash sweep, this one right here, and then we've also got a white noise crash as well. Sometimes I like to blend them well. This one's a little bit more rough because I kind of like the stamp that it had on the start of the chorus. And again, you've always got to have these sorts of things in here, these little bits of extra movement to create transitions. Otherwise, you can really notice the difference where your choruses don't really hit as much because it's just something to help with that last second build up. So always make sure that you have them sort of things in. But now I'll just quickly tell you a little bit of the mastering on the output, how I wanted to achieve that really nice warm saturated sound that you would hear on that sort of like synth and indie type genre. So I've gone for the Vitamin just to help with the balance. This is a multi-presser by Waves. I love doing this because it's a really good way just to set the balance of the mix. Get exactly how you want it. And then I've just quickly run that through the Q10, which is a really nice 10-band EQ by Waves as well, which I like to just cutting. That's the main thing, just cutting any unwanted frequencies that I don't want, get rid of them. And then one last trick, which I love, by the way, I learned this recently and I do it all the time now to get a really nice, warm, saturated sounding mix, is use the overdrive plugin on your mastering. So you want to turn the overdrive up to about 3 dB, well, that's what I've done in this case, and then I've done the output down a little bit, the output gain, just so we don't overly blast the ears. And the tone's at 15K. So by doing this, I'm just going to play you the difference. So I'm going to play the production with and without. So let's start without. This is what the production sounds like without the overdrive. And I'm just going to touch it in and out. You see the difference it makes. It adds a real lift to the track, and I just find it such a great way just to really add that little bit of extra stardust on your productions in the mastering phase. So overdrive, it's a Logic Stock plugin. Highly recommend you use it. It's in the distortion section, but don't be put off just because it is a distortion plugin. You can also use it to enhance your final mix. So I think it's great. So with that all said, this is the final synth indie pop production that I've made. I'm going to play it to you once more. Have a quick listen. So there you go, guys. That was the beat breakdown for today. If you enjoyed this video, again, smash the subscribe button, as it's the best way to support the channel. And also comment below what other subgenres of instrumentals you want me to make and break down in future videos. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Keep making music, and I will see you in the next video.